Hi, this is author A.R. Shaw with Apocalypse Queen Radio. This is a copyrighted podcast of the Global Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. I'm here today with author J. Luke Bennecke, and we've been attending this conference for the past 3 days in the
And we've
beautiful
been having an
Davenport
amazing time.
Hotel in Spokane, Washington. I have a lot of questions to ask him, and we're actually sitting side by side. If I can bother you in a stolen conference room. Jason, or I call him Jason, but his author's name is J. Luke Bennecke, and he's done something unique. He has created or published a book based on self-driving cars. It's a thriller. But let me first ask him questions that I know you guys will want to hear. So we're at this conference. Can you tell me what your experience has been so far? What are we doing here?
Oh, what are we doing here? We're having a great time, first of all, and we have been meeting with some amazing people at the CWWH here, 5x5 Media, several different movie producers and folks from production companies, and just meeting other authors and scriptwriters, other novelists, and learning as much as we can. We had pitch sessions yesterday. I personally did about 6 pitches to producers and stuff to try to get my book in the process of making a film or a mini series on TV. So learning a lot about that other process. It's a completely different world for sure.
Yeah, and so you published your first book a couple of months ago. Can you tell us what it's about? But first, let me answer some questions. There's already Tammy, your lovely wife, who I've met several times.
Never heard of her.
Just says, woot woot.
Oh, that Tammy. Yeah, right.
Yeah, says you guys are looking good. Randy Powers is a good friend of mine, and he says we have a great show. Wayne Apley is here. Oh, I can actually show your comments. That's kind of cool.
Hey, cool.
So Wayne says hello. Randy says is there still an echo, Randy? Let's see. Carly's showing us. I think that's your daughter. Hi,
hello, Carly. Hello from Washington.
Okay, so can you tell us about your book, Civil Defense? Civil. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. It's been a long 3 days.
What do I remember? It's Civil Terror. Gridlock.
Civil Terror. So sorry.
Yeah. This is a thriller book about an engineer who partners with the federal government to implement a self-driving network across the entire country. And for 3 months, there's no traffic congestion and no traffic fatalities. But the terrorists weaponize the system, and the engineer's wife is killed. And so, fueled by revenge, he partners with a rogue FBI agent, and they follow a trail of hidden clues to find the bad guys and stop the psychopathic leader of the terrorist cell from committing a mass murder of possibly millions of people. So it's a very fast-paced novel. It's very timely, and from what we've heard so far, it's a very exciting read. I hope anybody who ends up buying it enjoys it.
Okay, we're still getting feedback. Is that what you're saying, Randy? Let me.
I have an idea. I'm going to go to the other side of the room. You're too close, I think. Let's try.
Turn off your Facebook. Click off your Facebook thing. I think it might be that as well. So sorry. Okay, so we made him move to the other side of the room. So your book just came out, and one of the biggest sellers these days is audiobooks. Tell us about your experience with that. This is your first debut novel, and it's going to be a series. But tell us about your experience creating an audiobook.
Oh, it's been amazing. So yeah, to go back for a second. So Civil Terror Gridlock is the first in a series of 4. All of the books are going to have a civil engineering theme with fast pace and probably terrorism. But the audiobook for this first one was, we had 54 auditions by some amazingly talented folks, and we selected Brad Wills, a former Broadway actor, and he brought his A game to this book, and he brought all of the characters to life. In fact, he did such a good job with Victor Johnston, the bad guy, that while I'm writing the sequel right now, Victor Johnston's head is in my head. Victor Johnston's voice is in my head as I'm writing his dialogue, and it's just it's very realistic, and it's a very exciting listen. It's about a little over 11 hours and completely worth it. It's available on Audible, or you could download it from just straight from Amazon. So
that's awesome. And audiobooks are increasing in popularity, so it's always important to mention that. So in your real life, you are a civil engineer.
Yes, been doing civil engineering for almost 3 decades now. Transportation oriented, so bridges, roads, freeways.
In California.
California, yes, just outside of Los Angeles.
Where traffic's a huge issue there. So how did that affect your story? I mean, it's firsthand knowledge. Do you look at traffic, watch it?
Yeah, in fact,
do you watch it and think?
That's what planted the seed for the story to begin with. I was sitting on the 210 freeway, literally just stopped traffic, and I'm thinking, this is the 21st century. Why are we still tolerating this? We have the technology. What can we do to get rid of traffic congestion? So started thinking about a few things, and then a good friend of mine, his wife's, she was shot at the San Bernardino attack a few years ago, and this sense of dread that we all felt as a community, this sense of violation, and it's just a very downing feeling. And so I wanted to try to capture that as best I could. What if something like that did actually happen to us in our hometown? And so I kind of partnered that with the traffic congestion concept, and this is where the book came from.
No, I think that's really important because a lot of us, well, in Spokane, I mean, we have a tiny amount of traffic. Montana, it's non-existent unless it's rush hour, oddly, right. In Missoula. And so a lot of the country, that we don't know what it's really like there. But whenever I visit Seattle or visit California, I cannot believe you guys live under those conditions.
Yes, it's very hard.
It's unbelievable.
Sometimes to go 5 miles, it takes an hour and a half to go 5 miles. You could walk faster than that. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's, $160 billion a year we lose as a country just from traffic congestion. So there are some solutions clearly available to us, and it's just a matter of setting some goals and getting some funding, and we can beat this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But clearly, looking at those conditions, you can see where someone can come up with just a crazy thriller book like this. And considering, a couple of years ago, we might have thought that was kind of far-fetched, but now that we do have self-driving cars and there have been accidents, that is something you can really foresee. And you were on the hallmark of this whole endeavor.
Yeah, so it's amazing how current the topic has become since starting to write the book. And, just 2 weeks ago, I think there was a self-driving car plowed into a parked police car in California. So I don't think we're quite ready yet for these cars to be out on the public highways. We need to have some dialogue with our leadership and put in some regulations and stuff. But it's the book itself is kind of pre-apocalypse, so to speak. If something like this were to happen, this could trigger an apocalypse. Obviously, we want to avoid that at all costs. So this is a cautionary tale. Let's go through this. Let's study this and try to do what we can to avoid an apocalypse from a major terrorist attack caused by weaponizing the self-driving cars. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've certainly seen hacking into our computer systems. It's not out of the realm of things. It's just so on the cutting edge, and you're such an authority in the field anyway, as a civil engineer.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I couldn't think of who could write something like this better.
All the scenes are set in Southern California, so these are all places I've been to, millions of times. A little bit of an exaggeration, but yeah, Big Bear, Pasadena, Los Angeles, downtown. So if you like the palm trees and everything that Southern California has to offer, I think you'll enjoy the book.
Randy Powers says, I, for one, will never give over to the self-driving vehicle. Hi, Donna Broussard. She is my second cousin, I believe, and it's nice to see you on here. I have great family support. Randy Powers also says Atlanta traffic is no peach, that's for sure. And he's from Georgia. We've been talking about this quite a lot during the conference here today because Georgia has this huge benefit for filming movies in in the area there, but traffic is just horrendous. But
Yeah.
we were also discussing what a better place to actually film something like Bennecke's book there because of the traffic issues. So you've got your first novel out. What are you working on now? What's next?
We just finished the draft for Civil Terror 2. It's called Civil Terror Waterborne. It's going to address the drought issues in California. It offers a reasonable solution to solving the drought using civil engineering concepts and inventions. But the terrorists do something to make the water so it's undrinkable and people start getting sick. And again, another potential apocalyptic scenario there. And we want to avoid that. While we're trying hard to solve a problem, we need to make sure that we don't create something even worse in the process of solving the first problem.
Right, again, all these comments, all these things that we're fitting into our novels are actually pulled from headlines, and sometimes a year or two before. So it's a little creepy how that happens.
Yeah, in fact,
Cheryl Elliott says, "Good evening."
Yeah, I was going to say, I was in New York last weekend doing a book signing at BookCon, and one of the gentlemen, a very smart guy, he struck me as somebody who's really in tune with some of these terrorist concepts going on, and he works for a company, if I recall correctly, that reads books such as the one that we've written here, and he tries to find ideas that terrorists might end up utilizing to harm us, and their company tries to come up with potential defense mechanisms to prevent such things like this from happening in real life.
So you were telling me about that, and I thought, wow, there are actually people who read our books, read our manuscripts.
Imagine that.
To think ahead, it's like we're a collective,
Yeah, that's exciting.
That's a good thing, I guess. Yeah. I certainly hope none of our crazy scenarios actually, happen.
Yep.
So the story takes place in California. We already talked about that. And you have a very cool cover. Do you have the book with you? You didn't bring the book.
I've been carrying it around for 4 days, and I didn't bring it here. I left it in the hotel room. Sorry.
That's okay. It is on Amazon, obviously, of course. And there's also, I had posted a link to your book right under this broadcast on Facebook. So you guys can click directly there. Randy says, ooh, drought and forthcoming water apocalypse. Now that is in my wheelhouse, and it is. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Perfect.
Let's see. So we talked about the next thing you have coming. I run into you at different conferences throughout the year. In fact, we met at this conference in Spokane last year, and then we both met again with your beautiful wife at Thriller Fest in Manhattan last year. And where will I see you next?
I think we're going to see you next month at Thriller Fest 2018. We're going to have some more fun there and some more opportunities, and that's where some of the best thriller writers in the world congregate, and they help share ideas with like myself, and try to help increase our game a little bit, the writing game, and make our help make our craft that much more exciting for the readers. And it's a great opportunity to brainstorm and come up with new ideas and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to it. And of course, it's going to be great seeing you and hanging out with you for a few days, and all of these amazing.
The funniest thing is to get a couple of writers together. You have a couple of drinks, and you're all sitting around, and you're exhausted from these conferences, and then you come up with these harebrained, crazy ideas.
That's right.
I know I'm looking forward to taking some classes from Steve Barry, their thriller writer. Who else is going to be there? James Rollins, I think, is teaching a class.
Yep.
Lee Childs will be there. The big name, George R.R. Martin will be there. I'm hoping to be able to meet him.
Game of Thrones, hoping to meet him.
Yeah, there may be an interview or two from Thriller Fest on Apocalypse Queen Radio, but I don't know. These things are very, very fluid, and you just never know who you're going to run into. Let's see. Michael Don Gibbons says hello. Does anybody have any questions for J. Luke Bennecke about his novel? Any questions? Bridget Bennecke. Hi, Bridget. Nice to meet you. You have wonderful parents. Let's see. Oh, Randy says the 9/11 mindset. Remember, the greatest failure was said to be lack of imagination prior to the attack. And I would also add, if you've seen Looming Tower, lack of communication.
Oh yeah.
Or failure to communicate.
Total failure. Yeah.
Total failure. That's just a shame. But yeah, any other questions?
Good point, Randy.
Yeah, Randy, you would love Randy. Randy needs to come to some of these. Randy is a journalist in Georgia.
Oh.
So very cool. Gosh. Okay. Anything else you want to add? I know you're working on a couple of different projects.
Yeah. So we're working on the draft for this. I have another book that's more of a sci-fi thriller, and we have another book series that's getting started. It kind of deals with supernaturals, but that's not apocalyptic related. So the 4 civil terror books
are going to be readers that read all kinds of things.
Yeah, we're going to be excited. We're very excited to continue working with those, and you never know. There might be a movie out on the next couple of years, Civil Terror, and you could say you saw it here first.
Yeah, we are all hoping. I know I will watch it.
Yeah.
Cheryl Elliott said she ordered the book. Thank you. That's just awesome. Carly says, would love to see self-driving network in Manhattan. You know, I walked through Manhattan a couple of times. The last time your parents had to drag me through because I've never been there and I wouldn't go anywhere by myself. So they escorted me around. It was hilarious. The pedestrians own Manhattan. I mean, pedestrians pretty much forged their way. I don't know much other than what your parents showed me, but oh my gosh. Yeah, but it was a great experience. I loved it. I really enjoyed being there.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? Anybody else has any? Randy says, I may have missed it working, but did Bennecke give us the time frame for which the book is set? I think is it
near
slightly
future.
In the future?
Yeah, so we should have self-driving cars that work and are very, very safe in the next 5 to 10 years. I could be totally off, but that's my best guess right now. But we have a long ways to go. And so there are a lot of companies out there who are working on getting different technologies and stuff. But right now, as far as I know, they're not talking to each other. They need to talk to each other for us to really reap the benefits. And so one of the purposes of the book is not only to shed light on what civil engineering is and how it can help us as a society, but also to talk about some suggestions for helping to accelerate the inventive process for getting self-driving cars and a network to out there into the real world safely and effectively. And so we can all start reaping those benefits, get that $160 billion a year that we're losing from traffic congestion. Let's wipe that out and move forward with the future. We're supposed to have flying cars right now. Where are our flying cars? At least we can get some self-driving cars would be a good start, but it needs to be 100% safe. Cybersecurity has to be a very important aspect of the overall package. Otherwise, like one of the folks said earlier, there's no way I'm getting behind a car that I don't have control of. Hey, I don't blame you. So do most people. So we need to overcome that and do what we can to prove that this is safe and viable. Safer than if you were behind the wheel by yourself, of course. So
I'm going to show this one. Michael Don Gibbons says, ever since the so-called end of the Cold War, there hasn't been many good movies. So the post-apocalyptic dystopian books are the greatest, and the information enclosed is invaluable. Thank you. Because like he said, even people who are looking into our own security are reading the books to come up with come up with those ideas. Yes, Michael, his books are on Audible. I posted the link, you can go there and click right on the Audible link. And a lot of my fans love Audible.
If you're a commuter or you're just you having any drive time or some airplane time sitting around in the airport, it's a great book. 11 and a half hours of thrills and chills.
It's a long book, yes, and it's an excellent book.
And like I said, it was written or read by a former British or a former Broadway star. So the guy really brought it to life. It's very entertaining.
Let's see. Randy says, thanks for the shout out. You are always welcome. You are a great friend. Thank you. And Michael said, thank you. And thank you for calling me awesome. Hey, somebody's got to do it.
You're awesome. I'll tell you that right now. You're awesome.
Cheryl says that she will stick with her 40-year-old Jeep. I drive an FJ. I love it. Please don't take my FJ away. And Donna says she agrees. Thank you, cousin Donna. Randy says, I often think of civil engineering, RE, the general state of infrastructure here in the States, and how that factors into the vulnerabilities and threats the crumbling infrastructure poses for all of us. This is true. A lot of our bridges are they are falling apart. Things are not being maintained. So, I mean, even though we do need to up our game with traffic, we also have an infrastructure issue.
Yeah, and I don't know how much longer, honestly, we can keep going at the rate that we're going. A lot of the environmentalists have a good point that we can't just keep adding lanes over and over, and that's not a viable solution. It's been good since the 50s, and it started kind of breaking down in the 90s, and at least in California, and I know some other places like you mentioned, Atlanta and things. And we need to be working smarter and putting our money into new technologies instead of more concrete and rebar. Unfortunately, the old ways of doing things, how we've been doing it for the last 40, 50 years, are not going to be working as well, as we can all see. And we need to set some goals, get our leaders to get on board, and get some good minds together in the same room, have some dialogue, and do some brainstorming, and come up with, this is America. This is what we do. And John F. Kennedy back in the 60s, he said, let's get somebody on the moon by the end of the decade. And they did that. You set a goal, you put your mind to it, get some good, smart people in the room, and you make it happen. And we can do that here. It just we need to have our leaders step up to the plate and get that ball rolling. So that's what I'm hoping to see in the near future.
Awesome. Michael says, awesome. I'll be checking it out. He drives up to Atlanta every day. That is cool. So he will definitely be listening to the audio books. Hi, Chuck. He does this wonderful thing where he says hi. I love that. Randy says, when you look at the world as I do, I have the question, how long will we continue to invest in the infrastructure paradigm? That will most certainly come to an end. Energy and resources are the key here. Very true.
Yep.
It's energy and resources and determination. It's like we can spend a ton of money on frivolous things, but we need to point them where they're needed.
Yeah.
And maybe, hopefully,
expensive.
Your book will bring some more recognition to that.
I hope so. Yeah. That'd be great. Yep. We as Americans deserve better.
We do. We certainly do. Well, thank you very much I drug him into this. He was like, okay, so thank you so much. I thought we could do this pretty quick, and we did.
Yeah, this was fun. I thank you for inviting me. This was a lot of fun, and it was nice to meet some of your fans. Hello, fans of
I have
A.R.
awesome
Shaw.
fans.
Yeah, you've got a really good author here you're following, so she's really special. She's very talented.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So my next interview will be this coming Wednesday, regular interview. Wednesdays are regular at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Nicholas Sansbury Smith, and we will be talking about his Hell Divers. And he is not here because I believe he's already got some movie things going on with Hell Divers. So you guys please check out J. Luke Bennecke's book.
Hey, you can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner.
To me. Okay, thank you guys so much. Okay. And Annette is awesome. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.